Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago, and welcome once again to the Bourse Report. Today, we are going to talk a bit about credit ratings and what they mean for you as an investor, as well as for the country. As you know, there have been two credit downgrades for Trinidad and Tobago by the two major international credit rating agencies. That would be S&P as well as Moody's. In the case of S&P, there has been a downgrade of one notch for Trinidad and Tobago as sovereign, as well as quasi-sovereign players, that is, players owned or controlled by the state, with the exception of Petrotrin, which has remained at the same level under S&P. In the case of Moody's, the downgrade has been one that takes us as a nation outside of what is called investment grade rating down to what is internationally known as junk bonds. These are serious implications for the country in that it will increase the cost of borrowing across the board, as a number of players who are investors in these various bonds in Trinidad and Tobago will no longer be allowed to invest in them because of their investment limits. That is, they have fallen below certain thresholds for which insurance, sovereign wealth funds, as well as pension funds internationally are allowed to invest. So let's take a look at some specific information. Given the time constraint, you can look for more details at our website, www.bourseinvestment.com. So I will skim through some of the issues. Let us turn to our first graph. And what you would see on the graph is that in the case of S&P, all of our ratings, with the exception of Petrotrin, are downgraded. So we've moved from A- as a nation down to BB+, which is still an investment grade. For NGC, we have moved from BBB+ to BBB. For Petrotrin, the same. And for Trinidad Generation Unlimited, TGU, we are down from BBB to BBB-. More serious stuff on the Moody's side, we remain on the investment grade side. But on the Moody's side, what you will see is we've gone down to what is called speculative. What does this mean as we look to the next graph? And why is this so? Well, it is so because what we have experienced is a significant drop in fiscal energy revenues for the country in the past 2 years. And this graph just gives you a flavor that there has been a 78% decline in the take from the energy sector, and decline in the sense that both oil and gas, in terms of volume as well as price, has been deteriorating for some period of time, and even after coming back up in 2016, are still at that $50 level, way below the $80 that we would have experienced, or $100 before. Important graph, as you can see, what is happening during the period, 14%, or $3.8 billion, now coming to contribute to the fiscal revenues. Let's take a look at our next graph. And what this graph speaks to is what I would call the external debt service. You would see that the external debt service, which is the red bar, has been creeping up. 14% of our debt, moving from 6.4 in 2012, always upwards to 14% of our debt, which means that we owe and we have to pay, in terms of our total debt service, 14% now is in US dollars or in hard currency. Let's go again very quickly and have a look at what else is happening. I said that borrowing costs are likely to increase. And as you look at the graph here, to my extreme left and to your right, what you are seeing is that in each case, what has happened in this red bar, Trinidad and Tobago, the cost of borrowing has moved up from this green bar of 1.5 over a certain marker to 2.5%. In the case of NGC, from 1.6 to 3.0, which is, the marker is, of course, US Treasuries. Only in the case of Trinidad have you had a slight decline, and in the case of Petrotrin, to the extreme right, 4.1% over the benchmark to 5.5. It's going to cost us more to be able to borrow in the international market. This is the message of this particular graph. Let's look again at what's happening in some other areas. When we go to our next graph, what do we see? Well, what are the issues in terms of the downgrade? Well, the first thing that you would see is that in terms of bond values, if you are an investor in international bonds, Trinidad and Tobago international bonds, the value of that bond has fallen because with the downgrade, people are prepared to pay less for the bond. So if you were already holding the bond, the value will have fallen. The credit risk is up, as I mentioned already, as you would see in the next bar. Bond yields, when prices go up, when prices go down, yields go up. So the cost of borrowing, as we go to the next rotation, would be higher. Is it a good entry point for investors? Once you believe that the economy is sufficiently strong to make these payments over the period, then it should be a good entry point. If not, and you are concerned about the credit risk, the default risk, the payment risk, then you will have to think in terms of another decision or other considerations. And finally, what we are showing here is that these bonds are providing a better return than comparative BBB bonds using when we look at the comparative or the benchmark. You see Petrotrin way up here for 2-year maturity, a higher yield than this marker, which is the yellow line. And you can see variously all of the other bonds do that. For more information, give us a call or reach out to us at 2 Bourse, which is our telephone number, the number 2, and as well look for us for more details on our website, bourseinvestment.com. Have yourself a wonderful investment week. This is Subhash Ramkilawan for the Bourse Report.